Commander Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of Luna Base, watching the stars through the thick glass windows. 50 years had passed since aliens first came to Earth. 50 years since humanity learned they were not alone in the universe. And 50 years since Earth chose to stay away from the galaxy's problems, the Galactic Confederation had offered Earth membership in their Great Alliance. They promised protection, trade, and knowledge beyond human dreams. But Earth's leaders said no. They wanted to watch and learn before jumping into something they did not understand. Now Sarah was glad they had made that choice. Through her telescope, she could see distant flashes of light where entire star systems were being destroyed. The galaxy was at war, and it was the worst war anyone had ever seen. 3 great powers fought each other across the stars. The Galactic Confederation claimed to fight for peace and order. The hegemony wanted to rule everything with an iron fist. And then there were the Void Wraiths, ancient beings that seemed to eat planets and stars for breakfast. Sarah's job was to watch and report. Earth's Soul Defense Network had sensors everywhere in the solar system. They tracked every ship, every signal, every strange energy reading that came from deep space. So far, the war had stayed far away from Earth's little corner of the galaxy. Commander Chen, we have something strange on the outer rim sensors, called Lieutenant Mark Rodriguez from his station. His voice carried worry that made Sarah turn away from the window. What kind of strange? Sarah asked, walking over to look at his screen. Big ship moving fast, heading straight for our system. The design looks like hegemony, but something is wrong with it. It's spinning and leaking energy all over the place. Sarah frowned. The hegemony were the most organized military force in the galaxy. Their ships did not spin out of control or leak energy. Show me. The main screen lit up with an image that made Sarah's blood run cold. A massive warship, longer than 3 city blocks, was tumbling through space toward their solar system. Parts of it were on fire. Pieces were breaking off and floating away. This was not a healthy ship. How long until it reaches us? Sarah asked. At current speed, maybe 6 hours. But, Commander, look at its path. Rodriguez highlighted the ship's trajectory on the screen. Sarah's heart sank. The alien vessel was heading straight for Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. If it crashed there, the impact would be visible from Earth. Get me Admiral Torres on the secure line, Sarah ordered, and start tracking everything in our system. If one damaged ship can get this far, others might follow. While Rodriguez worked, Sarah studied the alien ship more carefully. She had seen hegemony vessels before in the intelligence reports. They were usually perfect examples of military engineering, smooth, deadly, and completely under control. This one looked like it had been through hell. The secure line crackled to life. Admiral Torres here. What's the situation, Chen? Sir, we have a damaged hegemony dreadnought entering our system. It's going to crash into Europa in about 6 hours. No response to our communication attempts. There was silence on the line for a long moment. Sarah could almost hear the Admiral thinking. Marcus Torres was a good man who had served Earth well during the isolation years. He understood that every decision could mean the difference between peace and war. Any signs of pursuit? Torres finally asked. Not yet, sir. But if someone did this much damage to a hegemony ship, they might still be out there. Agreed. I'm sending the rescue ship Mercy to intercept. You coordinate from Luna Base. And Chen? Be ready for anything. Our peaceful days might be ending. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. The Earth ship Mercy raced toward the tumbling alien vessel, while Sarah coordinated rescue efforts from Luna Base. More sensors came online. Defense platforms powered up for the first time in decades. The entire Sol Defense Network went to high alert. Dr. Elena Vasquez arrived at Luna Base just as the Mercy reached the alien ship. Elena was Earth's top expert on alien technology, a brilliant woman who had spent years studying the few alien artifacts that Earth had been allowed to examine. What do we know about the ship? Elena asked as she joined Sarah at the main console. Hegemony dreadnought, probably their Crimson class. crew of about 3,000. But look at this. Sarah pointed to the energy readings on her screen. Whatever. Hit them. It didn't just damage the hull. It's like something sucked the life out of the ship itself. Elena studied the readings with growing concern. That's not possible. Hegemony power systems are completely isolated. Nothing should be able to drain them from the outside. Tell that to whoever attacked them, Sarah muttered. On the screen, they watched the Mercy extend its docking arms toward the alien ship. The human vessel looked tiny next to the massive hegemony dreadnought, but Earth's ships were built differently than the alien designs. Where alien ships were made for raw power, human ships were made to be clever. "Mercy to Luna Base," came Captain Lisa Park's voice over the radio. "We've docked successfully, beginning rescue operations. The alien ship's hull is intact, but there's almost no power anywhere. It's like a ghost ship." "Be careful in there, Lisa," Sarah replied. "We don't know what caused this damage. The rescue team found survivors deep in the ship's core, barely alive and huddled around emergency power cells." The alien captain was a hegemony officer named Vex Thalar, a lizard-like being with intelligent yellow eyes and scales that had turned pale from shock. When the human medics brought him aboard the Mercy, Vex Thalar grabbed Captain Park's arm with surprising strength. His translator struggled to convert his words into English, but the message was clear. "The shadows," he whispered. "The shadows that eat light itself. They have taken the heart. They know about your world now. The neutrality of Earth means nothing. To the hunger." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she listened to the transmission. "Captain Park, what is he talking about? What heart?" "There's something in their cargo bay," Park replied. "Some kind of device. It's giving off energy readings I've never seen before. Dr. Vasquez, you need to see this." Elena was already moving toward the shuttle bay. "I'm on my way. Sarah, keep monitoring deep space. If something was chasing this ship, we need to know about it." As Elena's shuttle raced toward the rescue site, Sarah expanded the sensor network to its maximum range. What she saw made her stomach drop. Far out on the edge of the solar system, space itself seemed to be bending and twisting. Something was coming through the darkness between stars. "Admiral Torres," Sarah called on the emergency channel. "We have multiple contacts approaching the system, but, sir, they're not showing up as ships. The sensors are reading them as holes in space." "How many holes?" Torres asked grimly. Sarah watched the readings with growing dread. 12 confirmed, maybe more. And Admiral? They're big, really big. On Europa's ice fields, the hegemony dreadnought finally crashed in a shower of metal and fire. But by then, the real danger was already approaching Earth's outer defenses. The Void Wraiths had found something they wanted, and they were coming to take it. In the wreckage of the alien ship, Elena Vasquez stood before a device that hummed with impossible power. It was beautiful and terrible, like a piece of crystallized starlight wrapped in shadow. She did not know it yet, but she was looking at the key to the galaxy's salvation or its complete destruction. The war had finally come to Earth's door, and humanity's time of watching was over. Dr. Elena Vasquez had seen many strange things in her career studying alien technology, but nothing had prepared her for what lay in the cargo bay of the crashed hegemony ship. The device sat in the center of the room like a frozen star, beautiful and terrible at the same time. It was about the size of a car, but its shape seemed to change when she looked at it from different angles. Sometimes it looked like a crystal, sometimes like a flower made of light, and sometimes like something that hurt her eyes to stare at directly. Energy patterns danced across its surface in colors that had no names. "What do you think it is?" asked Captain Park, who had stayed to help with the investigation. "I have no idea," Elena admitted. "But whatever it is, it's not like anything in our databases. The energy output is off the charts, but it's completely stable. It's like it's sleeping." Near the device, the hegemony captain Vex Thalar lay on a medical bed, barely conscious, but trying to speak. His translator box crackled with static as he fought to get the words out. "Nexus core," he whispered. "We stole it from their temple ships. Thought we could use it as a weapon against the Confederation. But we were wrong. So wrong." Elena leaned closer. "What does it do?" "It tears holes in the universe itself. Space, time, reality, nothing can stop it." "But the Wraiths need it for something worse. They use it to feed." "Feed on what?" Vex Thalar's yellow eyes fixed on Elena with desperate intensity. "Life itself. Every living thing in the galaxy. They are hungry, and this device helps them eat. Entire worlds." Elena felt cold fear creep up her spine. She had read the reports about the Void Wraiths, but the details were always vague. The alien powers spoke of them like natural disasters rather than enemies you could fight. "You need to understand," Vex Thalar continued. "The Wraiths are not like us. They were the first intelligent beings in this galaxy, millions of years ago. But something happened to them. They became pure hunger, pure need. Now they consume everything. They touch." Back on Luna Base, Commander Sarah Chen was dealing with her own crisis. The approaching contacts were getting closer, and her sensors were picking up impossible readings. "Admiral Torres, the contacts are definitely ships, but they're like nothing we've ever seen," she reported. "They seem to exist partially outside normal space. Our targeting systems can't lock on to them properly." "How long until they reach the inner system?" Torres asked. "At current speed. Maybe 8 hours. But sir, there's something else. We're getting long-range signals from the opposite direction. Confederation and hegemony fleets are both heading our way." Sarah could hear Torres curse under his breath. "How many ships?" "Confederation fleet shows 30 vessels, led by their newest battlecruiser. Hegemony has maybe 20 ships, but they're all heavy assault class. And Admiral, both fleets are demanding. We surrender the device from the crashed ship." Neither of them asked nicely, I assume. The Confederation Admiral Zix Kenna said Earth has 48 hours to hand over what she called stolen Wraith technology or face the consequences. The hegemony was more direct. They just said surrender or be destroyed. Torres was quiet for a long moment. 50 years of neutrality, and now everyone wants to fight us at once. Chen, start powgling up our defense networks. It looks like our peaceful days are officially over. Meanwhile, Elena was making disturbing discoveries about the Nexus core. Her scans showed that the device was not just a weapon or tool. It was something much more complex and dangerous. "Captain Park, look at these readings," she said, pointing to her tablet. "The device isn't just giving off energy, it's connected to something, like it's part of a larger network." "Connected to what?" "I think it's linked to other devices like it scattered across the galaxy. And there's something else." Elena's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm picking up voices." "Voices?" Elena adjusted her equipment and played back the audio. What came through the speakers was unlike anything they had heard before. It was not language exactly, but something deeper. Pain and fear and desperate crying, all mixed together into a sound that made both humans feel sick. "What is that?" Park asked. "I think it's the people the Wraiths have consumed. Their voices are trapped in this network, calling out for help." Vex Thalar struggled to sit up on his medical bed. "You hear them too? We thought it was just our imagination. But the voices have been growing stronger ever since we stole the core." Elena felt a terrible understanding begin to form in her mind. "The Nexus core isn't just a weapon. It's like a storage device. The Wraiths use it to keep the consciousness of everyone they consume." "Why would they do that?" Park asked. "Maybe they need the minds as well as the bodies. Maybe consciousness itself is part of what they eat." Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the crashed ship. Elena's equipment showed massive energy spikes coming from deep space. "Luna. Base to all rescue teams. came Sarah's urgent voice over the radio. "The approaching contacts just dropped out of whatever dimension they were traveling through. We have 12 Void Wraith vessels entering the outer system. All teams return to base immediately." Elena looked at the Nexus core with new understanding. "They're not just coming for the device. They're coming because the device called to them. It's like a beacon." "Then why did the hegemony steal it in the first place?" Park asked. Vex Thalar laughed bitterly. "Because we thought we were clever. We thought we could reverse engineer it and use its power against our enemies. We did not understand that taking it would mark us for destruction." Elena began packing her equipment quickly. "We need to get this device to a secure location. If the Wraiths want it this badly, we can't let them have it." "But what can Earth do against forces like that?" Park asked. "We've stayed out of galactic politics for 50 years. We don't have the military power to fight off 3 different fleets." Elena paused in her packing. "Maybe we don't need to fight them the same way they fight each other. Earth has developed technologies that the galaxy has never seen. We've had 50 years to work on our own solutions to problems." As they prepared to evacuate the crashed ship, Elena took one last look at the Nexus core. The device seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat, and for a moment she could swear she heard the trapped voices more clearly. They were not just crying in pain. Some of them were trying to warn her about something. "The hunger comes," whispered a voice that might have belonged to a being dead for 1,000 years. "But the young ones have teeth the hunger has never tasted. Perhaps there is hope yet." Elena did not understand the words, but they filled her with strange determination. Earth had chosen isolation not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Now it was time to discover if that wisdom would be enough to save not just humanity, but everyone the Wraiths had marked for consumption. The galaxy's 3 most powerful forces were converging on Earth's solar system and hidden in a crashed ship on Europa was a device that might hold the key to ending a war that had raged for centuries. But first, humanity would have to prove they deserved to hold that key. Admiral Marcus Torres stood in the command center of Earth's primary defense station, watching 3 separate fleets approach his home system. In his 30 years of military service, he had never imagined he would face a situation like this. "Status. Report," he ordered. Commander Chen's voice came through clearly from Luna Base. "Confederation fleet has 28 ships in standard battle formation. They're holding position near Saturn and demanding we surrender the Nexus core. Hegemony. Fleet is smaller but more aggressive. 18 heavy destroyers pushing hard toward Jupiter. And the Void Wraiths?" "What about the Wraiths?" "Sir, they're not following any formation we understand. 12 vessels that barely register on our sensors, moving through space like they're swimming through water instead of flying." Torres nodded, grimly. "What's our defensive status?" "All defense platforms are online. Ghost Fleet is ready for deployment. But Admiral, we've never tested our equipment against alien technology in actual combat." Torres understood her concern. For 50 years, Earth had developed its own unique approach to space warfare. While the galaxy's great powers built bigger and bigger ships with more powerful weapons, Earth had focused on mobility and stealth. Their ghost ships used quantum phase technology that allowed them to slip between dimensions. They could appear inside an enemy vessel's shields, strike with devastating quantum torpedoes, and disappear before return fire could hit them. But the technology had never been tested against real opponents. "Sir," called Lieutenant Rodriguez from his sensor station, "the Confederation fleet is hailing us." "Put them through." The main screen lit up with the image of Admiral Zix Kenna, a tall alien with blue skin and too many eyes. Her expression was one of barely controlled patience. "Earth vessels," she began, in accented but clear English. "I am Admiral Zix Kenna of the Confederation Navy. You have in your possession a device of immense danger. For the safety of the galaxy, you must surrender it immediately." Torres stepped forward. "Admiral, I am Marcus Torres of the Sol Defense Network. Earth is a neutral world. We did not seek this device, nor do we wish to be involved in your war." "Neutrality," is a luxury you can no longer afford, Zix-Kenna replied coldly. The Nexus core is too dangerous to remain in the hands of a primitive species. Surrender it now, and the Confederation will guarantee Earth's protection. And if we refuse, then you will face the consequences of harboring galactic threats. The transmission ended abruptly. Torres was not surprised when another communication came through immediately, this time from the Hegemony fleet. The Hegemony commander was a massive creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a tank. His name was War Leader Crux, and he did not bother with diplomacy. "Earth animals," he growled. "You have something that belongs to the Hegemony. Return our property, or we will take it from your corpses." "That device was stolen from the Void Wraiths," Torres replied. "It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to whoever has the strength to hold it. Do you have that strength, little humans?" Torres smiled coldly. "We're about to find out." Both alien fleets began moving toward Earth at the same time. Torres had hoped to avoid fighting, but it seemed the galaxy's great powers were determined to treat Earth like a minor obstacle instead of a sovereign world. "All ships," Torres announced on the fleet frequency. "Execute Ghost Protocol. Show these aliens what happens when they underestimate humanity." Around Jupiter and Saturn, space began to shimmer as Earth's ghost ships activated their phase drives. To the alien sensors, it looked like the human vessels were simply vanishing. Aboard the Confederation flagship, Admiral Zix-Kenna stared at her tactical display in confusion. "Where did they go?" "Unknown, Admiral," her sensor officer replied. "All human ships have disappeared from our screens." The Hegemony fleet was having the same problem. War Leader Crux roared in frustration as his targeting computers failed to lock onto the human vessels. "Cowards! They run from battle!" Both alien commanders learned the truth when quantum torpedoes began exploding inside their ship's shield. Barriers. The human vessels had not run away. They had shifted into phase space, allowing them to pass through normal matter like ghosts. Commander Sarah Chen piloted the ghost ship Defiance directly through the hull of a Confederation cruiser, emerging in the ship's reactor chamber. Her quantum torpedoes struck the reactor core from the inside, causing a cascade failure that left the alien ship dead in space. "Ghost Leader to all units," she announced. "Target their engines and weapons, not their crews. We're here to disable, not massacre." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships appeared and disappeared like deadly phantoms, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before return fire could reach them. The alien fleets found themselves fighting an enemy they could not see or predict. But the real shock came when the Void Wraiths joined the battle. Their dark ships moved through space like living shadows, and when they touched the alien vessels, terrible things began to happen. Torres watched in horror as a Hegemony destroyer simply stopped moving. Its lights went out one by one, and its hull began to turn black as if something was draining the life from the metal itself. "All ships, stay clear of the Wraith vessels," he ordered. "We don't know what they're capable of." The answer came quickly enough. The Void Wraiths were not interested in the human or alien fleets. They wanted only the Nexus core, and they were willing to consume everything in their path to get it. A Confederation battlecruiser tried to ram one of the Wraith ships, hoping to destroy it through direct impact. Instead, the alien vessel seemed to be absorbed into the dark hull of the Wraith ship. The screams of its crew echoed across all radio frequencies before cutting off suddenly. "Jesus," whispered Lieutenant Rodriguez. "What are those things?" Torres was beginning to understand why the galaxy's great powers had been losing their war against the Void Wraiths. These were not enemies you could fight with conventional weapons or tactics. They existed partially outside normal space, just like Earth's ghost ships, but they used that ability to consume rather than protect. "Commander Chen," Torres called on the secure channel, "can our phase weapons affect the Wraith ships?" "Testing. Now, Admiral," came her reply. The Defiance materialized near one of the Wraith vessels and fired a full spread of quantum torpedoes. To everyone's surprise, the weapons struck home, causing the dark ship to recoil and emit a sound like a dying star. "Direct hit," Chen announced. "Whatever these things are, they're not immune to quantum weapons." For the first time since the battle began, Torres felt hope. Earth's unique technology could hurt the Void Wraiths, something neither the Confederation nor the hegemony had been able to accomplish. But the Wraiths were learning too. As more human ships attacked them, the dark vessels began to adapt their defenses. Some of Earth's torpedoes began to pass harmlessly through their hulls, as the Wraiths shifted deeper into phase space. The battle reached its climax when Admiral Zix Kenna's flagship and war leader Crux's command ship both found themselves under attack by the same Wraith vessel. Facing destruction, the two alien commanders did something unprecedented. They called for a ceasefire. "Earth vessels," came Zix Kenna's transmission. "The Confederation requests immediate assistance against the Wraith threat." A moment later, Crux's voice joined the channel. "The hegemony also requests aid. These shadow creatures are a threat to all life." Torres looked around his command center at the faces of his crew. They had gone from neutral observers to the galaxy's only hope in the space of a few hours. "All ships," he announced. "New mission. Protect both alien fleets from the Void Wraiths. We'll sort out our differences after we deal with the common enemy." The battle's tide turned as Earth's ghost ships began working to protect the alien vessels. Instead of fighting them, human crews risked their lives to evacuate survivors from damaged ships, regardless of whether they were Confederation or hegemony. But Torres knew this was only the beginning. The Void Wraiths had found Earth, and they would keep coming until they had what they wanted. The galaxy's war had finally reached humanity's doorstep, and Earth would never be able to hide from it again. 3 weeks after the battle in Earth's solar system, Dr. Elena Vasquez made a discovery that changed everything. Working in a secure laboratory deep beneath Luna Base, she had finally unlocked the secrets of the Nexus Core. "Admiral Torres, you need to see this immediately," she called through the secure communication system. Torres arrived at the lab within an hour, accompanied by Admiral Zix Kenna and war leader Crux. The temporary alliance between Earth, the Confederation, and the hegemony was still fragile, but the threat of the Void Wraiths had forced old enemies to work together. Elena stood before a massive holographic display showing the galaxy in 3 dimensions. Thousands of points of light marked star systems, but what caught everyone's attention were the dark spaces scattered throughout the map. "These are the locations where the Void Wraiths have completely consumed entire systems," Elena explained. "But look at the pattern." She highlighted the consumed areas, and a clear structure emerged. The dark zones formed a spiral pattern leading from the outer rim of the galaxy toward its center. "They're not attacking randomly," Torres realized. "They're following a plan." "Exactly. And the Nexus Core isn't just a weapon or a storage device. It's a map." Elena touched a control, and new information appeared on the display. "The device contains the locations of every intelligent species in the galaxy, past and present. It's like a cosmic cookbook for the Wraiths." War leader Crux growled in anger. "You mean they know where every world is? Every species?" "Worse than that. The core shows me that they've been planning this consumption for millions of years. They've been studying each species, learning their weaknesses, preparing for the perfect time to strike." Admiral Zix Kenna studied the display with her multiple eyes. "But Dr. Vasquez, this information flows both ways, does it not? If the device tells them where we are, it also tells us where they are?" Elena nodded grimly. "That's what I wanted to show you." She manipulated the hologram, and a new image appeared, a massive structure hidden in the dark space between galaxies. This is what the Wraiths call the Hunger Engine. It's their source of power, their command center, their everything. And according to the Nexus Core, it's been growing stronger for millions of years. The structure was enormous beyond imagination. It looked like a twisted combination of machine and living tissue, stretching across light years of space. Energy. Conduits connected it to thousands of smaller stations, and the whole thing pulsed with a sick, hungry light. That's where they keep the consciousness of every species they've consumed, Elena continued. Billions of minds trapped inside that thing, forced to power their war machine. Torres felt sick as he understood the implications. Every time they destroy a world, they add its people to that thing. The voices I heard in the Nexus Core are coming from there, and some of them have been trapped for thousands of years. War leader Crux slammed his massive fist on the table. Then we destroy it. We take every ship we have and blow that abomination apart. It's not that simple, Elena replied. The hunger engine exists partially outside normal space-time. Conventional weapons can't touch it. That's why the Wraiths built it there. Admiral Zix Kenna's expression was thoughtful. But your quantum phase technology, Dr. Vasquez, could it reach the engine? Elena looked at Torres before answering. Theoretically, yes. Earth's ghost ships could phase into the same dimensional space as the engine, but the journey would be incredibly dangerous. We'd have to travel through the void between galaxies, with no hope of rescue if something went wrong. Torres was already making calculations in his head. How many ships would we need? The engine is protected by hundreds of Wraith vessels. We'd need a fleet large enough to fight our way through their defenses and still have enough ships left to assault the engine itself. The Confederation can provide 50 ships, Admiral Zix Kenna offered. The hegemony will commit 30 of our finest destroyers, Crux added. Torres nodded. And Earth will provide our entire ghost fleet, 25 ships with phase capability. But even if we succeed in destroying the engine, what happens to all the trapped consciousness inside it? Elena had been working on that problem as well. I think I can modify our consciousness transfer technology to free them. It would be like performing surgery on the galaxy's largest brain, but it might be possible. Before anyone could respond, alarms began sounding throughout Luna Base. Commander Sarah Chen's voice came over the intercom. Admiral Torres to the command center immediately. We have multiple Void Wraith ships approaching the outer system. The Edinburgh group rushed to the command center where Chen was coordinating the defense. The main screen showed 12 dark vessels moving through space toward Earth. They're not attacking, Chen reported. They're just waiting, like they're studying us. Elena understood immediately. They know we have the Nexus Core. They're probably trying to figure out how much we've learned from it. Can they access the device remotely? Torres asked. I don't think so. But the longer we keep it, the more likely they are to launch a full-scale assault to get it back. Torres made a decision that would change the course of the Galactic War. Then we don't give them the chance. Admiral Zix Kenna, War Leader Crux, how quickly can you assemble your fleets? The Confederation ships can be ready in 48 hours, Zix Kenna replied. The hegemony needs only 1 day, Crux growled. Good. Dr. Vasquez, can you have your consciousness transfer equipment ready by then? Elena nodded, though she looked nervous. I'll need to test it first. If something goes wrong inside the hunger engine, we could accidentally wipe out billions of minds instead of freeing them. Then we'd better make sure nothing goes wrong, Torres said grimly. Over the next 2 days, the greatest fleet in galactic history assembled around Earth. Confederation cruisers worked alongside hegemony destroyers, while Earth's ghost ships prepared for a journey into the unknown. Old enemies shared intelligence and supplies, united by the threat that had terrorized the galaxy for too long. Dr. Vasquez worked around the clock to modify her equipment. The consciousness transfer technology had originally been designed to move human minds between artificial bodies. Scaling it up to handle billions of alien consciousnesses would push the technology to its absolute limits. The hardest part, she explained to Torres, is that we don't know what kinds of minds we'll find in there. Some might be so damaged by centuries of captivity that they can't be saved. Others might be so alien that our equipment can't interface with them properly. Do your best, Torres replied. Even if we can only save some of them, it's better than leaving them all trapped. As the fleet prepared to depart, Elena made one more disturbing discovery. Deep in the Nexus Core's data, she found references to Earth that dated back thousands of years. Admiral, she called Torres to her lab urgently. The Wraiths have been watching humanity for a very long time. Look at this. The hologram showed Earth's history from an alien perspective. The rise and fall of civilizations, the development of technology, the growth of human population, all of it had been monitored and recorded by the Void Wraiths. They were planning to consume us, Elena said quietly. But something changed their minds. According to this data, they decided we were more useful as a development project than as food. What kind of development project? They wanted to create the perfect prey species, something intelligent enough to provide rich consciousness when consumed, but also capable of developing specific technologies that would make the harvest more efficient. Torres felt cold anger building in his chest. They were grooming us, like farmers preparing livestock. But they made a mistake, Elena continued. By encouraging our independence and our tendency to develop unique solutions to problems, they accidentally created the one species capable of fighting them on their own terms. Our phase technology? That, and our ability to work together despite our differences. Look around this base, Admiral. Confederation, hegemony, and human crews working side by side. The Wraiths never learned how to do that. They only know how to consume. Torres looked out at the assembled fleet and felt a grim satisfaction. The Void Wraiths had spent millions of years preparing to consume the galaxy. But in trying to create the perfect prey, they had created their own hunters. Signal the fleet, he ordered. It's time to end this war. The journey to the Hunger Engine took 3 weeks through the dark void between galaxies. Admiral Torres had never seen space so empty and cold. No stars, no planets, no signs of life. Just endless darkness stretching in all directions. The combined fleet of over 100 ships traveled in tight formation, with Earth's ghost ships providing scout patrols. Every day they detected more Void Wraith vessels shadowing them, but the enemy did not attack. They seemed to be waiting for something. They're hurting us, Commander Sarah Chen reported during one of the daily briefings. Every time we change course, they adjust their positions to push us back on track. They want us to reach the engine, Dr. Elena Vasquez realized. But why? War Leader Crux growled from his position at the conference table. Perhaps they are confident in their defenses, or perhaps it is a trap. Admiral Zixkenna's multiple eyes focused on the tactical display. Or perhaps they need us for something. Dr. Vasquez, is there anything in the Nexus Core about why they might want us to come to them? Elena had been studying the device constantly during their journey, learning new secrets every day. There's something about a convergence. The Wraiths believe that consuming our combined fleets will give them enough power to begin harvesting the entire galaxy at once. How much power could they possibly need? Torres asked. According to this, they've been preparing for something called the Great Feeding. Instead of consuming one world at a time, they want to drain entire star systems simultaneously. But they need consciousness from species with specific abilities to make it work. Elena brought up a new hologram showing the 3 allied species. Confederation minds for their organizational abilities, hegemony consciousness for their military instincts, and human awareness for our adaptability and problem-solving skills. They want to turn us into a weapon, Chen realized. A cosmic-scale weapon for consuming the galaxy. Torres felt sick, but also angry. Then we make sure they never get the chance. All ships, prepare for battle. We're going to hit that engine. With everything we have. When they finally reached the Hunger Engine, the sight was worse than anything the holographic displays had shown. The structure was massive beyond belief, a twisted combination of metal, flesh, and pure energy that stretched across space like a cancer. Thousands of Void Wraith ships surrounded it in perfect defensive formations. But what made everyone feel truly afraid were the voices. Even through the vacuum of space, they could hear the screams and cries of billions of trapped minds calling out for help. "All hands, this is Admiral Torres," he announced to the entire fleet. "What we see before us is the source of the galaxy's greatest evil. Inside that structure are the consciousness of every species the Wraiths have consumed over millions of years. Today, we free them all." The battle began when Earth's ghost ships phased directly into the engine's outer defenses. Sarah Chen led the first wave, her ship Defiance materializing inside a massive Wraith vessel and destroying it from within. But the Void Wraiths were ready for them. As more human ships phased into the battle zone, the enemy vessels began shifting into the same dimensional space, turning the fight into a deadly game of interdimensional combat. "They've learned to match our phase frequency," Chen reported as her ship barely escaped destruction. "We can't ghost through their hulls anymore." The Confederation and Hegemony fleets engaged the outer defensive ring while Earth's ships pushed toward the engine itself. The battle was unlike anything in recorded history, with ships appearing and disappearing across multiple dimensions, while energy weapons carved through space like angry stars. Dr. Vasquez piloted a specially modified ship toward the engines. Core, her consciousness transfer equipment protected by the heaviest shields Earth could build. Her mission was simple but almost impossible. Get close enough to interface with the engine and begin freeing the trapped minds. "Elena, you've got 6 Wraith ships closing on your position," Torres warned from his command ship. "I see them. Beginning transfer sequence now." Elena's equipment sent out quantum tendrils that connected with the engine's consciousness network. Immediately, her mind was flooded with the voices of the consumed. Millions of beings crying out in languages she had never heard, begging for freedom that had been denied for countless centuries. But among the chaos, she found organized thoughts. Some of the trapped consciousness had been working together, planning and preparing for this moment. "We have been waiting," spoke a voice that belonged to a being dead for 10,000 years. "We knew the young ones would come. We have prepared a way." Elena understood. The trapped minds had not been passive victims. They had been sabotaging the engine from within, weakening its defenses and creating vulnerabilities that could be exploited. "All ships," she called on the fleet frequency. "The engine's core is protected by a quantum barrier, but the trapped consciousness have created gaps in it. I'm sending you the coordinates now." Around her, the battle raged as Confederation and Hegemony ships fought desperately to keep the Wraith forces away from Elena's position. War Leader Crux's destroyer rammed directly into a Wraith ship twice its size, buying precious seconds for the human doctor to complete her work. Sarah Chen's ghost ships phased in and out of the engine's structure, following the coordinates Elena provided. Each quantum torpedo strike weakened the barriers holding the consciousness in place. "Transfer at 30%, Elena reported. "I'm starting to free them, but the process is destabilizing the entire engine." The hunger engine began to convulse as millions of minds suddenly found themselves free after eons of captivity. Some immediately departed for whatever afterlife awaited them. Others chose to help with the battle, turning the engine's own weapons. "Against the Void Wraiths, transfer at 60%. The engine is coming apart." Torres made a command decision. "All ships, full assault on the core. We end this now." The combined fleet converged on the engine's heart as Elena's equipment reached maximum capacity. The consciousness transfer process was like watching the birth of a new galaxy as billions of minds suddenly broke free from their prison. Among them were the Void Wraiths themselves, or rather, what they had once been before hunger transformed them into monsters. Elena saw their true history in those final moments, a proud species that had made a terrible choice long ago when faced with extinction. "They were like us once," she whispered to Torres. They chose survival over everything else, and it consumed them. The engine's core finally cracked under the combined assault. Quantum fire erupted across space as the structure that had powered galactic genocide for millions of years finally collapsed. The remaining Void Wraith ships simply stopped moving as their source of power died. In the aftermath, as rescue ships searched for survivors and the freed consciousness departed for their final rest, Elena made one last discovery. A few of the original Void Wraith minds had chosen to remain, accepting her offer to learn how to exist without consuming others. Can they be trusted? Admiral Zix Kenna asked. They were the first intelligent species in this galaxy, Elena replied. They have knowledge that could help us prevent this from ever happening again. But more importantly, they want to try being something other than hungry. The journey back to the galaxy took a month, but it was a celebration rather than a retreat. The three fleets had accomplished something impossible. They had ended a war that had raged for centuries and freed billions of trapped souls. When they finally reached Earth's solar system, Torres stood on the observation deck of Luna Base and looked out at the stars. They seemed brighter somehow, as if the galaxy itself was healthier with the hunger engine destroyed. So what happens now? Sarah Chen asked, joining him at the window. Now we figure out how to live in a galaxy without the Void Wraith threat, Torres replied. The Confederation and Hegemony will probably go back to their old conflicts eventually, but maybe they'll remember that working together made them stronger. And Earth? Torres smiled. Earth gets to choose its own path, just like we always wanted. But I think our days of isolation are over. The galaxy needs what we can offer. Not our technology or our military power, but our ability to bring enemies together and find solutions no one else thought possible. Elena Vasquez joined them, carrying a small device that glowed with soft light. The consciousness transfer is complete. Every trapped mind has been freed, and the former Void Wraiths have agreed to help us establish monitoring stations to make sure nothing like the Hunger Engine is ever built again. As the three humans watched, ships from across the galaxy began arriving in Earth's system, not as invaders or conquerors, but as allies and friends. The species that had learned to stand apart had become the species that brought everyone together. Earth had stayed out of the Galactic War by choice, but when trouble finally came to their door, they had proven that sometimes the best way to end a fight is to change the rules entirely. Instead of trying to win through force, humanity had won through understanding, cooperation, and the stubborn refusal to give up on anyone, even their enemies. The galaxy would remember that lesson for a very long time.